Something from the edge of our solar system just shattered everything we thought we knew about the universe, and NASA's James Webb Telescope captured it. A tiny, icy object, labeled 3-eyed ATLAS, sending a signal unlike anything ever seen. Scientists are stunned. The data is cryptic, terrifying, and for the first time, we feel completely insignificant. I remember the night it all began. I was staring at the glowing monitor in the mission control room at NASA, the hum of computers filling the silence. Outside, the sky was pitch black, dotted with distant stars that had no names, no stories. But tonight, something extraordinary was happening, something that would shake the very core of our understanding of space. The James Webb Space Telescope had been trained on a peculiar object, a traveler from far beyond our solar system. Cataloged as 3-eyed ATLAS, unlike the usual asteroids or comets we track, this one moved quickly, its trajectory deliberate. Its icy surface reflected sunlight in a way that looked almost artificial, almost alive. The first readings came in as streams of data, numbers and signals flashing on the screens. My heart raced as I watched the scientists around me lean in, whispering, calculating, arguing over what they were seeing. Then it happened. The final transmission. A series of pulses unlike anything recorded in human history. At first, no one could make sense of it. The patterns weren't random, but neither were they immediately recognizable. Some scientists suggested it was a cosmic fluke, a quirk of light or radiation from a distant star. But others, those of us who stared too long, those who felt the weight of the universe pressing down, knew this was different. This was deliberate. I remember feeling a shiver crawl down my spine. The room was quiet except for the clicks of keyboards and the occasional murmur. Every second stretched endlessly as the data streamed in. The telescope, suspended millions of kilometers from Earth, was relaying signals from billions of kilometers away, and somehow, it felt like it was speaking directly to us. I thought about the countless missions before this Voyager. Hubble, Cassini, Artemis, and the way humanity had always looked to the stars for answers. But tonight, for the first time, the stars felt hostile. The pulses from 3-eyed Atlas weren't just numbers. They were warnings, riddles, challenges. My mind raced through every theory I'd studied, every prediction about interstellar objects. None of them could account for this. Then I looked at the footage captured by James Webb's infrared sensors. 3-1 Atlas glimmered like a shard of crystal against the black void, rotating slowly as though it were aware of being watched. I could almost hear the silence of space, stretching across millions of miles, whispering a secret meant only for those who dared to listen. And in that moment, I realized that humanity was not just small. We were fragile. We were unprepared. The lead scientist turned to me, eyes wide, voice barely above a whisper. This could change everything we know about life beyond our solar system. And just like that, the room erupted in a mix of panic, excitement, and disbelief. Every transmission from the telescope was now under intense scrutiny. The world outside had no idea what we were seeing, but I knew that soon everyone would. Because the signal wasn't stopping, it was relentless. A cosmic heartbeat pulsing from the depths of space, carrying secrets older than Earth itself. I sat back, trying to breathe, but the enormity of it pressed down on me. And then it hit me: the final transmission wasn't just a message. It was a moment, a revelation, a countdown to something the universe had been waiting to show us. I don't think I've ever felt more alive, and yet more powerless. The James Webb Telescope, this incredible sentinel floating in the void, had captured a whisper from the unknown, and that whisper was about to scream. The morning after the final transmission felt unreal. The world outside was calm, oblivious, while inside NASA's mission control, time had stopped. Everyone was glued to the screens, tracing the icy path of 3-eyed Atlas as it hurtled through space at unimaginable speed. Each frame of infrared imagery from the James Webb Telescope revealed fragments of its structure, jagged, crystalline, almost alien in design. I could hardly look away. It was as if the universe had thrown a puzzle directly into our hands and dared us to solve it. The scientists debated endlessly. "It's emitting structured radiation," one muttered, pointing at the spectrograph. "Not natural. There's intelligence here. Some form of code." Another shook his head, pacing back and forth. No. This has to be a physical phenomenon, a chemical reaction. Nothing alive could survive interstellar travel like this." But their words didn't convince me. My gut told me otherwise. Every pulse, every flicker of light had a rhythm, a cadence, a purpose. And that purpose was not random. I spent hours staring at the trajectory data. 3-1, Atlas was moving toward the outer edges of our solar system, past Neptune, then beyond Pluto, like a ghost slipping through the shadows of planets. I imagined the scene unfolding in silence, a lone object, millions of miles from Earth, carrying secrets no human had ever touched. I felt the thrill, yes, but also an undeniable fear. This was not a simple comet or asteroid. This was a messenger, and its message was meant to change the way we saw ourselves. As the day turned into night, the team began attempting to decode the signal. Every pulse from 3i Atlas was cataloged, translated, and retranslated. Patterns emerged, repetitions, subtle variations, pauses between bursts. Some scientists compared it to Morse code. Others whispered about prime numbers and mathematical sequences. I watched as a young data analyst typed furiously, muttering to herself. "It's like it's trying to speak, to communicate with us directly." Her words sent a chill down my spine. Was it possible that something light years away was trying to reach humanity in a language we were only beginning to understand? I remember stepping out onto the observation deck, the night sky sprawling endlessly above me. The stars glimmered faintly, distant and indifferent, and I couldn't stop thinking, if 3i Atlas had survived the void of interstellar space for millions, maybe billions, of years, what else was out there? What else had endured the darkness, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? My chest tightened with awe and anxiety. We were explorers standing at the edge of a cosmic cliff, and the universe was whispering for us to jump. Then came the anomaly. The signal intensified suddenly, a series of pulses that didn't match any previous pattern. The monitors flashed red alerts as the James Webb telescope registered an unexpected energy spike. My heart jumped. This wasn't just communication anymore. It was a warning. The word's final transmission took on a weight I hadn't fully grasped before. I glanced around the room. Every scientist, engineer, and analyst was frozen, staring at the screen as if they could physically touch the object through the data. I closed my eyes for a moment, imagining the journey of 3i Atlas. It had traveled across galaxies, unshielded, alone. It had witnessed stars being born and dying, planets forming and crumbling. And now, in its final act, it had chosen to intersect with us, delivering a message that no telescope, no computer, no human could ignore. There was purpose in its motion, intention in its icy glow, and a haunting intelligence embedded in every pulse. Hours turned into a blur. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Every thought returned to the icy traveler, moving silently, eternally, as if the cosmos itself had entrusted it with a secret meant only for us. And then came the first decoded fragment of mathematical sequence, impossible to dismiss as random noise. It was beautiful and terrifying, prime numbers arranged with perfect precision, a cosmic signature stamped onto the void. My voice shook as I whispered to no one in particular. "It's trying to tell us something. Something beyond comprehension." In that moment, I realized how small humanity really was. All our achievements, our technology, our history, felt like fragile paper in the wind compared to the scale of the universe. Yet, here we were, staring down a messenger from the stars. And for the first time, the cosmos felt intimate, personal, and terrifyingly alive. As night faded and sunlight crept across the horizon, the team began preparing the next phase, a global alert, international collaboration. The best minds on Earth attempting to decipher what this visitor had to say. But I knew deep in my bones that even if we understood every pulse, every pattern, we would still only glimpse a fraction of its meaning. 3-1, Atlas had survived the void for eons, and we had mere hours to comprehend its gift, or its warning. By the fourth day, 3I, Atlas had become more than just a subject of study, it was a presence. Every time I opened the latest James Webb images, I felt a strange connection, as if the object itself was communicating through light and shadow, through flickers and trails that only instruments could capture. It was silent, yet it spoke volumes, whispering stories of distant worlds, of chaos and creation in the cold expanse beyond our solar system. The observation room was alive with energy. Scientists were clustered around screens, interpreting the latest infrared and spectroscopic data. Each discovery added a new layer to the puzzle, jets of gas erupting in unexpected directions, subtle variations in the reflective surface, and mysterious streaks of light that suggested collisions with unseen fragments. I couldn't tear my eyes away. It was mesmerizing, almost hypnotic, watching this interstellar traveler glide across the cosmic sea with precision and grace, yet carrying secrets we were only beginning to decode. I imagined 3I, Atlas in the vast emptiness of space. For millions of years, it had sailed past stars we could only dream of visiting, through nebulae that glowed with the birth of new suns, avoiding black holes and cosmic storms that could have ended its journey. And now, at this moment, it had crossed paths with humanity. It was fleeting, transient, and yet profoundly significant. We were witnesses to an event that might never occur again in our lifetimes, a celestial visitor offering a glimpse into the mysteries of the universe. The spectral analysis revealed even more astonishing details. Traces of complex organic molecules hinted at chemistry that might exist in distant star systems, in environments completely alien to our solar neighborhood. I felt a mixture of exhilaration and humility. Here was evidence that the building blocks of life, or at least the ingredients for it, might be far more widespread than we had imagined. Each reading was like a note in a cosmic symphony, a melody composed across light years and centuries. I leaned back, overwhelmed by the enormity of it all. The James Webb Telescope, our technological marvel, was not merely a passive observer, it was a bridge across time and space, translating faint signals from the depths of the cosmos into images we could study, understand, and feel. Every detail of 3-eyed ATLAS, every ridge, every flicker, was a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the small but vital role we play in uncovering its secrets. And yet, amid the awe, there was unease. The object's irregular rotation and shifting brightness suggested forces at work we could not yet explain. Was it a natural phenomenon or something more enigmatic? Could there be internal structures influencing its motion, or interactions with interstellar matter we had never encountered? Each theory seemed plausible, yet none could fully account for what we were observing. The object defied expectations, challenging our understanding of physics and the very nature of interstellar travelers. As night fell outside the observatory, I stepped onto the balcony and gazed at the stars. Somewhere, far beyond the reach of any telescope or human probe, 3-1 ATLAS continued its solitary journey. I felt a deep sense of connection not just to the object, but to the universe itself. We were part of something immense and timeless, our curiosity echoing across space, seeking answers in places we might never physically reach. Back inside, the team worked tirelessly, compiling data, modeling trajectories, and cross-referencing every anomaly. Each discovery seemed to deepen the mystery. Tiny flickers in brightness, subtle shifts in trajectory, and unusual molecular compositions all hinted at a story we were only beginning to understand. And in those moments, I realized that the journey of 3-eye Atlas was not just about what we could see, it was about what it represented, the boundless possibilities of the cosmos, the enduring quest for knowledge, and the reminder that the universe always has more to teach us. I returned to the screens, watching as the object moved gracefully through the void. The James Webb images were like windows into another realm, each frame a page in a story billions of years in the making. And as I traced its path, I felt a mix of wonder and responsibility. We were witnesses to a rare, cosmic phenomenon, and it was up to us to interpret its message, to learn from it, and to honor the fleeting opportunity we had been given. 3i Atlas was more than a celestial visitor. It was a messenger from the universe, carrying whispers of creation, evolution, and perhaps even life itself. And as we continued to study it, I felt a profound sense of awe in the vastness of space, amid chaos and infinity. Humanity had glimpsed something extraordinary, an interstellar traveler offering a fleeting connection to the unknown. The fifth day brought a strange stillness over the observatory. 3-1 Atlas was no longer just a visitor, it had become a teacher, a mirror reflecting our curiosity back at us. I sat alone, staring at the latest James Webb images, tracing its icy surface, marveling at the faint jets of gas that shimmered like distant fireworks. Each new frame revealed details that left me both breathless and unsettled. The object was fleeting, yet its presence felt eternal. The trajectory models confirmed what we had feared and hoped for. 3i Atlas was leaving the solar system. It had danced past our sun, brushed by the outer planets, and now, in a matter of months, it would vanish into the abyss of interstellar space, never to return. And yet, it had given us a gift few humans would ever experience, an intimate glimpse of something that had journeyed across the galaxy to reach us. I thought about all the missions humanity had launched. From Voyager to Artemis, from Hubble to James Webb, each had taught us something. But none had felt as immediate, as personal, as 3i Atlas. This was not a distant signal from a faraway star. It was a living story, a fragment of an alien world sharing its secrets in real time. Every pixel, every spectral line, every shift in brightness was a word in a cosmic narrative we were only beginning to understand. As I reviewed the images, I noticed patterns I hadn't seen before, faint, rhythmic pulses of light along the object's surface. Could they be caused by rotation, by internal heating, or something else entirely? The mystery deepened, and I realized that for every answer we discovered, 3 more questions emerged. 3-1 Atlas was a reminder that the universe is never simple, never fully knowable. It is infinite, complex, and full of surprises that humble even the most brilliant minds. I imagined the journey ahead, how it would travel past distant stars, through regions of space that humanity may never visit, carrying with it traces of its home system. And yet, despite the distance, it had left a permanent mark on us. Scientists across the world were analyzing the data, publishing papers, sharing theories. Students were inspired to study astrophysics. Future missions might even be designed with the hope of following interstellar travelers like this. The legacy of 3i Atlas was already unfolding. I leaned back in my chair and allowed myself a moment of reflection. We often think of space as cold, empty, indifferent. But 3i Atlas had taught me otherwise. In its brief passage, it had connected us to the broader cosmos, reminded us that the universe is alive with stories, and challenged us to expand the boundaries of human understanding. It was a messenger from the stars, carrying knowledge, mystery, and inspiration across unimaginable distances. The James Webb Telescope continued to observe, capturing the last glimpses of the object as it receded into darkness. I felt a pang of loss, knowing that this chapter was ending. That soon 3i Atlas would be nothing more than data, images, and memories. But even in that absence, its presence would remain etched into the screens, the research papers, and the imaginations of all who had witnessed it. And as I shut down my terminal for the night, I looked up at the Milky Way stretching across the sky. Somewhere out there, 3i Atlas was moving through the void, silent and untouchable. A cosmic traveler continuing a journey that had begun long before humanity existed. But in its passage, it had reminded us of something profound, that even in the vast, indifferent universe, there are moments of connection, fleeting yet eternal, that define who we are and what we are capable of. 3-1 Atlas was more than a comment. More than an interstellar object, it was a story, a legacy, a testament to curiosity, persistence, and wonder. And as it disappeared into the darkness, I knew that humanity had been given a rare gift, a chance to touch the unknown, to witness the unimaginable, and to be forever changed by it. I'm looking at the latest images from the James Webb Space Telescope, and my heart is racing. A mysterious interstellar visitor, named 3I, Atlas, has just been captured in unprecedented detail. These aren't just photos, they're whispers from a world beyond our own, challenging everything we thought we knew about space. I remember the exact moment I first saw the new data from the James Webb Telescope. The screen flickered, revealing a speck of light so distant and faint that it almost seemed unreal. But this wasn't just any object. This was 3-eyed ATLAS, an interstellar traveler, plunging through our solar system with a story that had traveled light years across the void. I leaned closer, heart pounding, as the team around me held their breath. The James Webb Telescope, humanity's most powerful eye on the cosmos, had captured what no other telescope could. Its infrared sensors pierced through cosmic dust, revealing subtle details, a glowing trail of gas, a faint reflection of starlight, and a shape unlike any comet or asteroid cataloged in our solar system. The telescope's mirrors, meticulously aligned, reflected the light from 3I Atlas with staggering clarity, painting a picture of an object that seemed almost alive in its motion. I felt a chill. This wasn't just science, it was poetry. Every photon hitting the detectors carried secrets from another star system, a story millions of years in the making. The mission control room was silent except for the hum of computers processing the data. Scientists whispered about its trajectory, its speed, and its odd, hyperbolic orbit that screamed, "Not from here." I could almost imagine the journey of 3-eyed ATLAS, born around a star far beyond our own. It might have been ejected from its home system, traveling through the dark expanse of interstellar space, through voids colder than anything on Earth, past supernova remnants and drifting cosmic dust. It had arrived at our doorstep, a fleeting visitor that would soon vanish into the abyss. And yet, here it was, giving us a glimpse of the infinite possibilities beyond our solar neighborhood. The James Webb images were haunting. One frame showed a bright nucleus, surrounded by a faint halo of icy debris, shimmering against the black velvet of space. Another frame captured its tail, bending and twisting as solar radiation and the solar wind tugged at it. There was something almost sentient about the way it moved, a reminder that the universe is far stranger and more beautiful than our minds can fully grasp. I thought about the Artemis missions, about astronauts training on lunar simulators, dreaming of exploring worlds we haven't yet seen. And here, at the same moment, 3I Atlas was a messenger from a star system we may never reach. It made every rocket launch, every telescope observation, every late-night session at Mission Control feel connected to something greater, a cosmic web, linking us to the universe in ways we're only beginning to understand. Then came the analysis. Spectroscopic readings revealed unusual compositions. Water ice, sure, silicates, expected, but traces of exotic compounds hinted at processes we'd never observed. Could this be a fragment of a distant planet or a relic of a system that had long since died? My mind raced with the possibilities, each more astonishing than the last. Every scientist in the room was whispering theories, but deep down, we all felt the same thing, awe, mixed with a twinge of fear. Because 3I Atlas wasn't just an object. It was a reminder of how tiny and fleeting our existence is, floating on a pale blue dot while the universe continued its endless dance. As I stared at the screen, a sudden notification came through. The telescope had captured a sequence of images showing a slight shift in its brightness. A subtle flicker. Could this be rotation? Could this mean 3-eyed ATLAS is tumbling, exposing different surfaces to the starlight? Every frame was a puzzle, every pixel a clue. And in that moment, I realized that our journey to understand it had only just begun. I couldn't stop thinking about the night sky. The same stars we gaze at, the constellations we've mapped for centuries. had likely witnessed this object's passage long before we existed. 3-1, Atlas had crossed distances so vast that the concept of time became meaningless. And now, by some improbable alignment of technology, curiosity, and human persistence, we were here witnessing it. The images weren't just pictures. They were invitations. Invitations to imagine, to explore, to question. They whispered of civilizations we may never meet, of cosmic events that shape galaxies, and of the fragile, fleeting moment in which humanity can actually reach out and touch the unknown, even if only through light captured across billions of kilometers. I felt a surge of emotion, excitement, wonder, fear all tangled together. And as the James Webb Telescope continued to observe, sending back more data with every orbit, I knew one thing for certain. 3i Atlas had changed the way I looked at the sky. What was once distant, abstract, and untouchable had become immediate, intimate, and almost personal. And yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were only seeing the beginning. There were secrets hidden in its icy surface, in the tiny fluctuations of its light, in the way it sliced silently through space. Secrets that might redefine what we know about the universe, about interstellar travel, and maybe even about ourselves. This was no ordinary comet, no ordinary object. 3-1 ATLAS was a messenger, a wanderer, and a reminder that the universe is alive with mysteries waiting to be discovered. And we were lucky, impossibly lucky, to witness it the next morning. I couldn't stop thinking about 3i Atlas. I returned to the observatory, staring at the sequence of images James Webb had sent overnight. Every frame was more mesmerizing than the last. The object's icy surface reflected starlight in ways that made it shimmer almost like a jewel, floating in the infinite black. But there was more subtle anomalies in its glow, hinted at hidden layers, patterns that didn't belong to ordinary comets or asteroids. Something about it felt intentional, like a cosmic fingerprint left by forces far beyond our comprehension. The team gathered around the main screen, our eyes glued to the detailed infrared data. I could feel the tension, the excitement, the collective heartbeat of humanity united by one fleeting visitor. Our instruments revealed jets of gas erupting sporadically from its surface, tiny bursts of activity that suggested it was far from inert. I whispered to myself, "It's alive." In a way we can't yet define. No one corrected me. There was an unspoken agreement this was a moment that would define careers, perhaps even generations. I imagined the journey of photons, leaving 3i Atlas years ago, traveling across the cold emptiness of interstellar space, passing uncountable stars, dodging unseen cosmic hazards, just to land on our detectors. Each pixel was a message, each flicker a signal from the cosmos. And as I zoomed in on the high-resolution imagery, I began to notice something extraordinary: irregularities in its surface texture. Shadows and ridges suggested formations that were almost geometric, almost artificial. My heart raced. Could this be natural? Could the universe really produce something so precise, so deliberate? I thought back to Voyager 2 and the countless missions humanity had sent to explore the solar system. Those robotic explorers had brought us astonishing discoveries: moons covered in ice volcanoes, rings of dust that danced to invisible rhythms, magnetic fields whispering the secrets of distant worlds. And yet, nothing compared to the intimacy of seeing an interstellar object like this up close. We weren't just observing. We were conversing through light, through spectra, through data that demanded interpretation. Hours passed, and I barely noticed. The world outside the observatory seemed to fade. I was alone with 3-eyed ATLAS, tracing every contour of its journey across the screen, trying to anticipate its path. Its hyperbolic orbit meant it would never return. It was a one-time visitor, fleeting and transient, and that made every second of observation feel sacred. Every click of the telescope's instruments, every bit of data stored in our servers, was a chance to understand something that might never come again. The spectroscopy readings revealed more surprises. Unusual molecules, some never observed in our solar system, were present on its surface. Organic compounds, silicates, even traces of materials that hinted at complex chemical interactions far beyond anything we could replicate in a lab. My mind raced. Was this a primordial fragment from a distant, ancient world? A remnant of a planet shattered by cosmic forces? Or, just maybe, a clue to processes in other star systems that we had only dreamed of understanding? I leaned back in my chair and let out a long breath. The James Webb Telescope, our silent sentinel, was showing us the universe in ways we had only imagined in science fiction. And yet, as awe-inspiring as it was, there was an undercurrent of unease. 31ATLAS was moving unpredictably. Tiny deviations in its trajectory suggested forces acting upon it that we couldn't fully explain. Was it being influenced by some distant star, by interstellar dust, or something else entirely? Every new observation brought more questions than answers. I closed my eyes and imagined the interstellar void. Dark, cold, infinite, and through that void, 3I Atlas had sailed for untold millennia. Stars had been born and died, nebulae had formed and dispersed. Galaxies had rotated countless times, all while this single object traveled in silence. And now, in a brief cosmic coincidence, it had crossed our path. Our instruments, our technology, our very human curiosity had aligned perfectly to capture it. It felt like a miracle, or a warning,